Hey everybody, it's Galmadex and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today I'll be playing some more Dungeons & Dragons Adventures in the Forgotten Realms Premier Drafts. So here we got Cleric class, Sorcerer class, Wizard class, and Druid class as our rare and uncommons here. Out of these four classes, I think Cleric class and Wizard class are the best, and the very top cream of the crop, for me personally, is Cleric class. The floor of this card, the absolute worst case scenario, you get to bring a creature back from your graveyard to the battlefield once you hit level 3 and gain life equal to its toughness, which can often really turn the game around. There's also a lot of life gain in the set and some life gain tribal, so stacking up with that, getting extra counters on your creatures and gaining extra life is often a pretty powerful effect. So I think the Cleric class has really overperformed for me. It's been quite a powerful card in general. I don't love the Sorcerer class. All it does is care about casting a ton of instants or sorceries, and there's just not enough great ones that this does a whole lot. So I feel like this is weaker than most of the uncommon classes, unfortunately, and that's why I like even the Wizard class better than that. The Wizard class is 1 mana, you have no maximum hand size. When you level it up to the next level for only 3 mana, you draw 2 cards. That right there is solid, just 3 mana, draw 2, divination. And so I like the Wizard class as well, mainly for that level. So here we have Trelasara Moondancer. Seems like a really good follow-up to the Cleric class. We can just hop right into the green-white life gain train and makes one of the most powerful, synergistic aggro decks in the format. Yeah, I'm pretty happy to just take Trelasara here. There's also a Moonblessed Cleric, which is quite good if you have powerful classes in your deck, like the Cleric class, because this will allow you to search your library for any enchantment, which includes classes, reveal it, put it on top. So that is solid, but these tend to go pretty late as well, because not everybody's going to have a powerful enchantment. But I'm just going to take Trelasara here, try to hop in on that train, and here we see a really powerful green card, the Hunter's Mark, probably the best green removal spell in the set. 4 mana, instant speed. One of your creatures gets +1/+1 until end of turn and deals damage equal to its power to a creature or planeswalker you don't control. And the spell can't be countered, so it can't be countered if they have blue counter spells or if they have ward effects on their creatures. And it's also only a 1 mana spell if it's targeting a blue creature or planeswalker. So, in classic green sense, you gotta hate on those blue spells. Uncounterable 1 mana removal against blue. Sign me up. Now, what do we have here? Things are getting a little less exciting in green and white, in the fact that there's basically nothing in green and white. There's Ranger's Longbow, which just, I don't know, just has not felt great to me. Always feels like a little too slow, too much mana to move that thing around. And then there's Ambushed on the Road, which is an okay little tricky combat trick. Here, I kind of like just taking Targnar in case green-red ends up being more open. Because I have 2 green cards I really like, Hunter's Mark and Trelasara. I guess alternatively, though, blue is the most open color in this pack, but that could just mean there were more blue cards in this pack than anything else. Contact Other Planes, a pretty good draw spell. Even if you're not lucky, you're drawing 2 cards off of this, and if you are lucky, you're scrying 2 and drawing 2, which is fantastic. If you're absurdly lucky, this card's absurd. And then a Ray of Frost is a solid removal spell. Fly is nice, giving a creature evasion and letting you get value whenever it hits your opponent. But yeah, I really don't want to... I feel like blue's pretty far from what I'm trying to do currently, whereas Targnar's a lot closer, because it's already good with Hunter's Mark. It actually works with something we've already drafted. I mean, that being said, we see another great blue card here over anything else. I think Eccentric Apprentice is probably the best card in this pack. 3 mana for a 2/2 flyer, and you venture into the dungeon, and if you've completed a dungeon, every combat you get to turn something into a 1/1 flyer until the end of turn, so you can weaken your opponent's creatures or put one of yours in this guy. Just a 3 mana 2/2 flyer with that upside of venturing into the dungeon is pretty great. And again, I don't love any of these cards for green-white. My favorite card in any color we've already taken is you see a pair of goblins for green-red. But I don't know how likely we are to be hopping into green-red here. So now what? We have a Null Hunter for any green deck we end up in, just as a solid filler creature. We have a Hoarding Ogre for any red deck we end up in, just as another solid filler creature. Although this one does combo really well in the red-blue decks. If red and blue end up being the most open colors here, then this would be the best card for that deck. The black cards are just okay. A lot of okay stuff in here. It's really between like Null Hunter trying to stick to green, so I could be green white, green red, or green blue, or just taking Hoarding Ogre and trying to jump in on what's looking open. I'm just going to take the Null Hunter there. Now, there is a Steadfast Paladin, which is a pretty good sign for green-white life gain. Just white in general. But again, with the amount of blue showing up, like we still see a Clever Conjurer, I feel like blue's looking really spicy here. Clever Conjurer is really great in ramp decks. It's a 3-mana 2/3, so it's a solid blocker on curve, and it can untap a land at sorcery speed, give you an extra mana later in the game, so really good in like blue-green, which could be a fun place to go. That being said, I mean, Cleric class and Trelasara, these are both massive reasons to be in green-white, especially with more life-gaining cards, so I'm going to scoop up that Steadfast Paladin there, get a great aggressive life-gaining creature, and that allows us to just pick up a Celestial Unicorn here, 3 mana for a 3/2 when we gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on this. Just a bigger Ajani's Pridemate. I'm sure almost everybody on Magic Arena knows how powerful Ajani's Pridemate can be in the right deck. And it got a little rocky in the middle there, but it looks like we're on to a good start for green-white life gain. Now we get a Sylvan Shepherd. This is great because it can give you that life gain trigger every time it attacks, so definitely good in this strategy. Potion of Healing's okay too. You draw a card when you play it, so it does immediately replace itself. It just requires a little bit of mana to play around with, and you do gain some life when you sack it. And now we can take the random little combat trick here. You're ambushed on the road. I really just am not a fan of compelled duel type cards, because if your opponent has multiple creatures, like if they've just ventured into the dungeon enough to get a random 1/1 goblin, this card's never good because then they just trump block with a 1/1. And I feel there's a lot of situations like that where they will have some creature that they're not that sad about chump blocking with. And the rest of these picks are going to be self-explanatory, down to just a couple cards in our colors. So, yep, we're not jumping on the blue or red train here. We're sticking to our first picks with a green-white life gain deck here. We have Cleric class, Trelasara, Steadfast Paladin, Celestial Unicorn, 2 Sylvan Shepherds triggering life gain. Looking like a really good start here. Happy to see where this goes in the next few packs. The next couple packs. It would be really cool if we had 4 packs total. 3 more packs coming up. It'd be super spicy. Alright, well, we have a pretty absurd rare here. What color are we closer to cutting? Leather Armor's not great. Ambush on the Road's not great. We have one, like, not great white card. One not great green card. Like, I don't really want to play either of those too heavily. Is it early enough to just hop into black for this card? Because, yeah, when it deals combat damage to a player, put that many +1/+1 counters on it. So, like, it hits them for 4 in the sky, and then it's an 8/8, then it hits them for 8 in the sky. This kills them so quickly. I don't really think I could do this. We're not going to have mana fixing in this deck. The only way we're going to have mana fixing is if we have, like, a bunch of venturing into the dungeon, because then we can scry a little bit and get some treasure tokens, and we have none of that going on right now. There's basically no green mana fixing in the sets. We're not going to splash it in. I am going to take it here. Probably should just have taken like the Steadfast Paladin there. But if we get hyper cut off of one of these colors, I like being able to be like black green or breen, I guess is what I was trying to say, with a really big rare, or like black white with a really big rare. Just leave ourselves open to that. I don't know if it'll happen though. Another Celestial Unicorn is pretty good with the synergies we're going for, but we got the first one pretty late. We might be able to wheel that. I think Owlbear and Hunter's Mark are some of the best cards in this pack, period. We only have one removal spell right now, just one Hunter's Mark. I might take another, though I do love me an Owlbear. 4/4, and you draw a card when you play it. And it's got Trample. I don't know which one of these is better, but they're both great. I'll go with the Hunter's Mark here. Hand of Vikna, pick 3, get in my belly. Alright, this card's absolutely absurd. 3 mana for an equipment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, equipped creature or a creature you control named Vecna gets +X until end of turn, where X is the number of cards in your hand. If you play this on turn 3, you just play this out there, pay whatever amount of life, immediately equip it to your 2/2, and your 2/2 is now just attacking as like a 6/6. So with Null Hunter, that's going to attack in, trigger its own pack tactics, get another +1/+1 counter, and just be attacking for 7 on like turn 3. With Steadfast Paladin, you just immediately gain back all the life that you paid into equipping it. Hand of Vecna is a brutal card, and I would recommend first picking this in literally any deck in this format generally. So get in here, Hand of Vecna. It is a very bad draw, like a very bad top deck in the late game, but if you have it in your deck and you remember that and try to keep it in mind, you can start just holding on to any lands that you draw late game when you're flooding out. Just keep them in hand in case you draw the Hand of Vecna. Kind of like Oswald Fiddlebender here, just a little 2-mana 2/2. It's mainly for collection purposes. I mean, a 2-mana 2/2 is just like fine filler for this deck. But with a Hand of Vecna, I want to have as many like 2-mana 2/2s as possible, so anytime I draw this, I can slam it down turn 3. And grabbing a rare 2-mana 2/2 means I might get a little bit of gems or a little better card for my collection. The other cards that are good here are like Elterguard Ranger, Planar Ally, and Devoted Paladin, but they're all 5, so they don't combo super well with the hand or anything like that. What is this? Target artifact or creature becomes a copy of another artifact or creature. Seems pretty great. Add instant speed there. That's kind of a little bit surprising to still be in there, but I guess it is a lot of mana, so that's fair. All right, we have a little Death Toucher here. We have a ramp spell, but we're not ramping into a lot. Or we have a little Dawnbringer Cleric. This works well with the life gain theme, as well as giving us another 2-mana creature to equip onto. I'll go with the card that works well with the life gain theme. I guess Underdark Basilisk does work well with Hunter's Mark, which is cool. But also, if we focus enough on white here in this pack, we might be able to hop into white-black. If we get more cards to work with like Westgate Regent and stuff. And well, here is like the one green mana fixing card in the format, and the only thing I'm taking it over is a Bull Strength, which is a good combat trick, but I mean the idea that I could cast this and grab 2 swamps and maybe cast Westgate Regent is cool. Still seems pretty unlikely to me, but I'm not incredibly pumped about a Bull Strength. Hopefully I can get those later if I want them. Now we have a 2-mana 1/3 with a not good ability for any deck that's not just like a very slow ramp deck. So I don't like that card. I don't like the Compelled Duel. I don't like the Paladin Shield either because it only adds toughness. And because of that, I will just grab a black card here just in case we do end up like black-green or white-black, as unlikely as it would be. And I'm going to keep doing that because I don't really want to play a Potion of Healing or a Plummet. Potion of Healing again would be okay. Actually, you know what? I kind of just talked myself into Potion of Healing because like it's okay in our deck with just like white-green life gain. But also because we took Oswald Fiddlebender, we could have a game where we drop a Potion of Healing and an Oswald Fiddlebender on the board and then sacrifice the Potion of Healing to grab our Hand of Vecna. And that's just hilarious to me. So now I'm actually a little bit more excited to grab random dorky 2-mana artifacts than I would otherwise. And for the same reason, I'm just going to grab another Potion of Healing. Because Potion of Healing is kind of the perfect 2-mana dorky artifact, because not only does it combo well with Oswald Fiddlebender, it still does a decent bit of work in the green-white life gain deck. And wow, I'm really happy to see Prosperous Innkeeper here. This does a ton of work in green-white life gain. Just triggering that life gain every time we play a creature. Evolving Wilds here with only 4 cards left in the pack too. No respect for the mana fixing, I say, as I pass Evolving Wilds. Alright, we're not doing Westgate Regent things in the end here, sadly. We are doing double Trelasara things. Yeah, double Trelasara seems great in here. We have a lot of cards that are going to go absolutely stunningly with her. Cleric class, Prosperous Innkeeper, Sylvan Shepherd. We have so many cards that can trigger life gain over and over again that Trelasara is just going to be absolutely bonkers. And pretty difficult to pass her up for anything else here. Ooh. We have 2 Trelasara and Celestial Unicorn. These all get counters whenever we gain life. Cleric class gives us counters whenever we gain life on level 4. So do we want a Druid class here even? So that whenever we landfall, we gain a life? Are we that synergistic here? In the early game, whenever we landfall, we gain a life, and when we get to the late game, we just get to make one of our lands a big old creature. that seems pretty fine to me. Although a Hill Giant Herd Gorger is probably the best like late game card for this kind of deck. It's a big old 6 mana 7/6 and it triggers life gain when it comes into play. So I like Druid class and Hill Giant Herd Gorger here. Rally Maneuver is a fine combat trick as well. Druid class might go super late. I actually, oops, I was going to say I actually don't have a lot in the top end either. So I kind of wanted to take that 7/6, but since I didn't, I can take a White Dragon now, which is cool. Take a different big old late game card. I guess we have Ingenious Smith, which is good with all of the Potion of Healings and Hand of Vecna. Pulls them out of our top 4 cards and then gets bigger every time we cast an artifact. But I like having White Dragon for a late game card. Wandering Troubadour is nice. Venturing every time we landfall is pretty solid. But I think White Dragon is better if we're like curving out, making a really big Trellisar. It's going to be super nice to be able to tap down a creature when this comes onto the board. So I'm going to take that here. And Spoils the Hunt's good removal. But again, White Dragon is just pretty awesome late game finisher, and we don't have a late game finisher right now. Another 2-drop card to make sure we're always curving out with that Hand of Vecna. We have a lot at 2 mana right now, but a lot of that is Potion of Healing and Druid class and stuff that's not a creature. I don't know why the deck builder doesn't work for me anymore. I can't like scooch this to the side. It's so finicky. Yeah, I'm going to take a Null Hunter here. Although Portable Hole is really solid as well, exiling a small thing. Ooh. Yeah, let's get a second big late game finisher here. Big old Purple Worm. The worst this card can be is a 7 mana 8/7 that's a little bit hard to target. And the best it can be is a 5 mana 8/7 that's hard to target. When you cast this for 5, you're living the dream. That is always a super fun time. You Meet in a Tavern is really cute and really flavorful though. But Purple Worm's just my cup of tea. Crawworm was like my favorite card when I started the game. And it's pretty much strictly better every way. I guess not strictly better, but it is better. Take another You Happen on a Glade. We could have 2 You Happen on a Glade. 2 of those to cast our Westgate Regent. I think we have enough kind of absurd stuff going on in the main deck of just green-white. We don't need to be splashing in black here. Although I've got multiple requests in some of my other ones to splash in like a Westgate Regent into the deck I was drafting, so just for meme potential too, to finally do that. Make everybody happy. But I don't think it's happening here. I'm sorry, I failed you all. Now we're just taking the only on-color cards. Now that I'm fully committed into just the green-white life gain deck here. The green-white life gain deck with a big old Hand of Vecna. This artwork is disgusting. I just realized. Very powerful card, but I am pretty squeamish. So I'm probably going to have to not zoom in on the card in the future. So if you need to know exactly what this does, you should probably read it right now, because I don't know. I'm not looking at the screen. I will mention what it does every time. Pretty easy to remember. Give something plus a million. Defeat your opponent quickly. We have like 3 big cards we're not using Find the Path. But we also already have like 2 You're Ambushed on the Roads if I want to use that, so I guess whatever. Might use a Devoted Paladin. It's actually nice later in the game if you curve out with a lot of creatures. Bam, your whole field gets +1/+1 and Vigilance till end of turn. Slam in for a big old attack. I don't know why I held Alt there to see if I had my full 4 copies of Scaled Herbalist when it was the only card I could choose from. Anyways, we only have to cut 5 cards out of here. And then we'll have a real synergistic, super aggressive green-white deck. We're going to have 2 drops every game. So any game we draw Hand of Vecna in our opener, we're slamming that onto something turn 3. That is just a fact of life. Alright, 50 Feet of Rope seems slow for this deck. We're not going to want to spend mana throwing... we're not going to want to throw mana into these abilities. I guess is what I was trying to say there. Because we're not splashing in, I don't love You Have It on a Glade. It's pretty slow. It is instant speed, which is kind of nice, but still 3 mana to bounce a permanent back to your hand from your grave. Pretty slow recursion. Druid class is nice for the life gain whenever we landfall. So again, good with Trelasara. Good with the Celestial Unicorn. And then, late game, it's just another big, 6-7 mana card. We spend 5 into this and then animate one of our lands. So ideally at 6 mana, we'll spend 5 to make our 6th land become a 6/6. That seems cool to me. I like the Potion of Healings with the Hand of Vecna, but I gotta cut something here, and I have 4 of them. I could cut 3 of them and still try to use Oswald to grab a Hand of Vecna in 1 or 2 games here. I guess I could cut 1 Purple Worm, 1 Potion of Healing, and still do the thing. And when we have so many 2-mana creatures, I'm very rarely just slamming down a Potion of Healing turn 2. This is when I run out of creatures, I'll slam down Potions of Healing. So they're mainly just in here for the magical Christmas land of Oswald Fiddlebender into Hand of Vecna. I don't want to cut all of them. I want to make sure that's still possible, but I think I shouldn't have 4 in here. So I'll cut 2 of them, and then just cut 1 more card. Purple Worms we could probably pretty consistently cast for only 5 mana. So we'll put that there on the curve. I do want 17 lands here because not only is my average 3, it's a little lower than that because it's counting Purple Worms as 7s and not 5s, but not only is my average around 3, I also have to dump a bunch of mana into these 2 classes, so the Purple Worms make the curve a little lower than this thinks that it is, but the classes make the curve a little higher than I think it is, because these are not Cleric class is not just a 1 mana card. It's a 1 mana card you have to throw a bunch more mana into to get the good value of it. Same with the Druid class. You have to throw a ton of mana into this one to get the creature out of it. So, Bull Strength. I like Bull Strength in here because we have so many 2 mana creatures, so we're just constantly sending in every turn. Being able to turn a piece of combat in our favor is going to be really nice. Our 2/2 gets blocked by their 2/2, and now we win that combat and do extra damage to them. Especially if we use that on our lifelink and Steadfast Paladin. With all these 2-3 mana creatures, I do like the Voted Paladin. I think I cut another non-creature here, because then we still have 16 creatures in the deck. Maybe I do cut the Bull Strength. I feel like both our classes are really good. Druid class definitely less good here. But because it combos so well with the Unicorns and Trelasar, it's nice. Hunter's Marks are really important here. They're our only removal. There's no way we cut these. Hand of Vecna is absolutely absurd. No way we cut that. So I'm going to have to cut one of these cards, basically, is where I'm at here, because I don't want to lower our creature count. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to cut down to 1 Potion of Healing, and now, fingers crossed, if we live the dream, Potion of Healing, sacrifice it to Oswald Fiddlebender to grab Hand of Vecna. If we live that dream, now it's extra special. It's not that I don't want to live the dream, it's that I want it to be a special occasion when I do. That's why there's only 1 Potion of Healing in here. That's how I'll justify it. Now it's super special if it happens. Okay, this hand is not super special. Not only do we only have green mana, we don't have any creatures to play with that green mana. All we have in green is stuff to use once we have creatures out. So I believe we got to mulligan this. Now we have both colors, multiple cards to play. I think I scry away our big old 4/4 here, I guess. Probably don't even play Dawnbringer Cleric turn 2. Probably just want to play it after the Unicorn to make the Unicorn bigger, gain some life. Oh, I mean, maybe we even get rid of the Cleric. Just a 1/3 on the board is pretty low impact. So is a 3/2, and if we keep both of them, they work in conjunction pretty well. Make the Unicorn a 4/3 at least. I don't want to put one of the only 2 removal spells in this deck on bottom of my deck. Devoted Paladin's the biggest card in the hand by far. I'll get rid of a Devoted Paladin. When I said deck, I meant hand there. If I said that Devoted Paladin's the biggest card in my deck by far, that is a lie. I have big worms. Underdark Basilisk. We can blow that up with a Hunter's Mark. Annoying little Death Toucher. Opponent's on green-red with 5 cards in hand. Now there's a purple worm coming up. So if we get some creatures to trade next turn, we get to cast this next turn. So I kind of like just playing the cleric here and making the unicorn bigger and not going for any kind of trades. Till next turn. And then because I'm going to get an 8/7 on this board, I'd actually be okay with trading our Celestial Unicorn into the Death Toucher. Because that'll leave the path clear for the much bigger creature to not die to the Death Toucher. But again, I'm not going to go for that trade here. I'm going to wait until the turn where it'll reduce Purple Worm's cost. Alright, they're grabbing a couple lands with You Happen on a Glade, grabbing a couple mountains here. So they probably have some big late game cards then. So Purple Worm might not be as good in this matchup as it'll be in others. Because they might just have their big old 7/6 for 6 that would be able to trade into it. But here's the Purple Worm, an 8/7 that costs 2 additional mana to target. And we have a Hunter's Mark as a removal spell if they do happen to play a creature big enough to trade into it. And we're seeing a pair of goblins from our opponent. Which is fine unless they can give them Death Touch. Nope. Just some little goblins right now. 4 power total. They might play another creature here and try to stack up enough power to triple block to kill Purple Worm. But I do have Hunter's Mark if something goes really bad. They have 5 mana here. They could throw a 3 damage spell at our Purple Worm. Ooh. You know, that is a thing they could do here. I missed out on a life gain if I wanted to play Druid class this turn. But anyways, if they have Dragon's Flame for 2 mana, they deal 3 damage to Purple Worm. That basically puts it at 4 toughness. They could double block and then finish it off with a Dragon Flame here, even through the ward effect. And I can't save it with a Hunter's Mark if they do that, because I don't want a Hunter's Mark until after the combat. Like, do I play around that in any way here? Like, I could if I Hunter's Mark during combat, if they go for the double block. Yeah, if they go for the double block, they 100% have Dragon's Flame over anything else here. So we Hunter's Mark and then Purple Worm can't die to that anymore. Now this is worse if they were trying to use a combat trick to kill Purple Worm, but I think it's really likely that they have a 2 mana instant speed 3 damage spell here. Something like that. It could even be their own Hunter's Mark style card. And this will survive anything that was going to throw 3 damage at Purple Worm. Alright, so whatever it was is not going to kill Purple Worm through that, so it doesn't happen. Definitely think it's really likely to be 2 mana, 3 damage. Trelasara here. Pretty great if we draw any more lands, because then we'll gain life on all of them with the Druid class. Trelasara is going to straight up die to the Dragon Flame here. Is that a reason not to cast her? No, because if we don't cast her, they're just never going to cast Dragon's Flame, because they're not going to use it on the Cleric. They could try to hold it to do a double block on Purple Worm. Yeah, I guess this way at least it gets out of there. They can't do the whole triple block Purple Worm kind of thing anymore. So we play Trelasara. They're going to cast Dragon's Flame at the end step here to kill it. And we level up the Druid class. Pass the turn. Yep. Hobgoblin Captain, so they have 6 power out. So if they still had a Dragon's Flame, they can do a double block and kill there. Now they could triple block to kill the Purple Worm. Prosperous Innkeeper coming up. This will be a 6/6 off the Druid class. Let's send that thing in. They can triple block and kill the worm. They can double block and kill the forest. Triple block, kill the worm it is, so they take 6. Go down to 5 life, and I still have a 6/6 around. Seems pretty good. They have 3 cards in hand here, and I don't feel like they've played a land every turn. So they're probably all relevant cards. They're all non-lands. Meteor Storm, alright, deal 8 damage divided how they choose. They do get to kill our land there. I'm going to hold on to this land to keep a life gain trigger for my Druid class. If I draw another Trelasara. Plus, I can play 2 lands a turn, so if I happen to need 2 more lands out in the future, I can just play them both. Are they down to just removal here? That they don't want to blow on these tiny creatures? Yeah. Just Dragon's Fire. Another Dragon's Fire here? Yeah, pretty much. Fair does Fireball. Alright. They're out of cards in hand now, facing a 1/3. That will kill them in 3 turns. Although Hobgoblin Bandit Lord is a big enough top deck to block. And they can throw an equipment on it, and now it can block and kill the Cleric as well. Exile the top 3. There's all our gas. Opponent gets to cast one of them this turn. They get to cast our Trelasara. They choose Oswald. I guess Oswald, they can sack the Dueling Rapier and get a better artifact if they have more artifacts. That could be pretty neat. We'll play a land this turn. I don't want to hold all these lands forever. Hobgoblin's a 4/3, that's going to start coming in. And there is a white dragon. Tap down Oswald, we get in for 1 damage this turn. If white dragon survives, we obviously just kill them next turn. But at least it poked in for 1 damage here, if nothing else. Poke in for 1 damage and pull a removal spell from their hand. One card in hand now. Has the white dragon closed things out? It has, and ochre jelly was the play. Big old rare bomb oozy thing. But it is on the ground, and the white dragon is in the sky. So white dragon will provide us lethal damage this next turn. And there is the concession from our opponent. So pretty good game overall. It is always one of the most disappointing and sad feelings in the world when your opponent casts anything that gets to use your own cards against you. Like that interrogate them spell, where they got to exile their top 3, and it's like, no! I want that Trelasara so badly. Even Oswald. I like Oswald. He is my friend. And they took him from me. Alright. Opponent goes first, and we are on the draw. It makes it more likely we hit this third land pretty quickly, and we've got plenty of stuff to do for only 2 mana. This is an incredibly keepable hand. Spicy stuff here. Probably turn to the Steadfast Paladin, the next turn attack with it when we have a Trelasar on the board, make her bigger and scry. Seems great. It's an Armory Veteran. I don't exactly want to trade my Paladin into their Armory Veteran, so maybe I'll end up using a Bull's Strength or something, but I think I'm definitely not playing Trelasar until I can start getting some life gain triggers off. And we are playing against red-white here, and it looks like another aggressive deck with Monk of the Open Hand, wanting you to cast a bunch of cheap spells, and Armory Veteran wanting you to be playing a lot of equipment. Ooh, Prosperous Innkeeper, there we go. That'll gain life every time we play a creature. I think we attack here if they block Bull Strength, if they don't play Innkeeper. We could also just play Innkeeper Cleric class. Just don't attack. With a Trelasar coming up, that seems like a really great option. I'm just going to go for that. That's the only option where, like, definitely nothing goes wrong. Like, if we attack with Steadfast Paladin and use Bull Strength, it's possible they have, like, a 2 mana 3 damage removal at instant, Dragon's Fire. It's also possible they have their own combat trick. Plus, if we have to do that, then we're not establishing anything else on our board. We're not advancing our own field. So, their board is getting pretty set up here, but we're pretty okay with that, because we can very likely just gain as much life as however much damage they're dealing to us over time. I could play the Unicorn first over the Trelasara. That way, if I hit a 4th land next turn, I can play 2 spells. Seems pretty good. Yeah, I kind of think I'm okay with going for the Unicorn, although Trelasara does scry us as well. Nah, I'm gonna Unicorn here. Might have been okay to attack with Steadfast Paladin there, because offering a trade with the Monk of the Open Hand's fine, because that'll get bigger later. But the fact that Steadfast Paladin triggers life gain is pretty important to a lot of our cards in hand. I like holding on to our Dawnbringer Cleric in case they're running Minimus containments, enchantment-based removal spells. So here, do I play Trelasar, or do I play Bull's Strength, go for an attack with Paladin? Probably just play Trelasara. That makes Unicorn bigger, makes Trelasara bigger. We get to scry one, try to hit our 4th land. Yeah, it seems super spicy to me. There's our 4th land. Keep that on top. And pass turn again. Another Monk of the Open Hand and another spell, so those monks are getting bigger. But we've got great blocks on the ground. We're constantly gaining life here. Feeling quite good about this matchup because our cards are just going to keep getting bigger. And we have more than enough life gain to survive all of their early aggression. Here I can go for Hunter's Mark with our Steadfast Paladin to deal 3 to something and gain 3 life, which will make Trelasara and Celestial Unicorn bigger, which is pretty absurd. Could also just play Oswald and Dawnbringer Cleric and make them way bigger. I guess I only get to play one of these. 5th mana. It's good with the final effect of Cleric class, but I'm going to throw that on bottom. Because I don't know if I'll need to do that. I like going for a Bull Strength here. Might even be worth attacking all. Maybe not Trelasara, but like Unicorn, they could block with a lot of stuff, and a Bull Strength would still, I mean, at least like 3 for 2 them, or something like that. Let's see, they go block, block, block. If they block with everybody, we can make Celestial Unicorn 7 toughness. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They have 9 power. I guess 10 because Blink Dog's double strike. Yeah, let's just attack with Steadfast Paladin and get some more counters on Unicorn and Trelasar and Scry again. Alright, and the single block means that we do get to Bull Strength and keep the Paladin. Which is lovely. Ooh, keep another Hunter's Mark. Beautiful, beautiful card to draw. Alright, they're going to start venturing into the dungeon here, scrying with the Lost Mine of Phandelver. Next turn they get a 1/1 or a treasure token. They're just going to scoop them up here. Our board is already starting to get big enough to just send in these two together. And with 2 copies of Hunter's Mark in hand, we could definitely start sending in with some really safe attacks. And if anything bad happens, Hunter's Mark saves them by killing one of the creatures blocking them. Just a really, really, really good game there for us. Stacking on multiple consistent life gain triggers with multiple Johnny's Pridemate style cards. Alright. Turn 2, Innkeeper. Turn 3, Trelasara. And a treasure token to help cast White Dragon earlier. Ooh, Sylvan Shepherd to consistently gain us life whenever it gets to attack. We're playing against an aggressive red deck, so life gain helps against this kind of deck as well. Liking the look of our hand. I'm liking the look of this matchup. Although it is looking like a really aggressive deck, so that's getting a little bit scary to me. Don't want to trade with the Innkeeper because it is pretty important to our Trelasara and our Unicorn and all that. I kind of like going for the Unicorn first, yet again. That way next turn I'm playing potentially 2 creatures. I play Trelasara and Sylvan Shepherd by sacrificing that treasure token. Although, I suppose ideally I won't be sacrificing the treasure token so I can play White Dragon earlier. Boots of Speed on the Hobgoblin Captain, triggers the Pack Tactics, gives it first strike, send it with both. They hit for 7 here. Again, with our life gain, I'm just going to take it, but we are going down to 10. Excuse me. I'm going to go for Trelasara first. Depending on what I scry into here, I may or may not cast Sylvan Shepherd as well. Just a land coming up, get that out of here. So I don't know what's coming up next turn, so is it better to get a Sylvan Shepherd and just have tons to block with? Or is it better to just play White Dragon next turn? It's probably better to just have more blockers. And this also leads to a really good attack with the Unicorn. Now we get to scry again, set up our next turn play. Dawnbringer Cleric's great. Another blocker that gains life that makes these even bigger. I could even hold the Unicorn back to go for a block on the Captain instead of attacking in for 7 here. Sure. Play that really safe with the Unicorn on blocks. Alright, and they just scoop them up. I guess that means no removal in hand. Makes the Unicorn... Well, I mean, they're not in that bad of a position here. Actually, no, yeah, they are. If they don't have removal in hand or they're stuck off a second color, that kind of thing. If they don't have, like, the 2-mana damage spell, then I was like, do they still have a good attack? I thought theoretically they did, because they can make that 5 power, and then, you know, first strike away the Unicorn. But in order to do that, they have to trigger Pack Tactics. In order to trigger Pack Tactics, they'd have to attack with both. So if they attack with both, I chump block that one, and I just kill Valor Singer without losing Trelasara, and I still have these great creatures. I take no damage, kill their Valor Singer. Yeah, so not a great game for our opponent. They were on an aggressive deck that was almost definitely some form of mana screwed. We never got to see what the second color was, if they indeed had one. And having a deck that operates functioning based off of life gain is really brutally good against aggressive decks. Because while you're just setting up your game plan and trying to set up your combos and stuff, you just happen to be gaining a ton of life, which kind of screws over their whole plan. So this hand's not so great because we don't have any way to gain life yet. So we're definitely dependent on draws, but it has both our colors. It's got a turn 1, turn 2 play, turn 4 play by leveling up the class. So it's not worth a mulligan, but we're definitely looking for some draws here. There's no reason to attack. I guess we could threaten some kind of trick here, but I'll just hold off. Alright, they just have removal for Trelasara. That is not ideal. Scry 1 in the Lost Mine of Phandelver. Level up the Cleric class. If nothing else, we just get to get Trelasara back next turn and scry 1. Celestial Unicorn. I honestly think I'd rather just get Trelasara back here. We have an Underdark Basilisk coming up. And that's okay. It's a great blocker for Horde Robber. It's not really ideal, though. More than anything else, I'm really just trying to find a consistent way to gain life, like a Druid class or a Prosperous Innkeeper, something like that, to work with Trelasara and Unicorn, because I'm not gaining another point of life all game with my current cards. Alright, and they just draw with the Wizard class. They do not have the removal to immediately kill Trelasara again yet. Alright, we're 1 mana away from getting a big old purple worm out, which is nice. For now we get a Celestial Unicorn, but we're definitely passing the turn against this board. They can make a really good block against Trelasara, blocking with a 3-5 and a 1-3 or a 3-5 and a 2-2, and I can only kill the smaller creature in either of those blocks. So the Wizard class, when this hits level 3, is going to start putting a +1/+1 counter on one of your creatures whenever they draw a card. So Wizard class is going to give them a really good long game plan, much like we're trying to do with the Unicorn and Trelasara, where our creatures just keep getting bigger slowly until they're insurmountable. They're looking at the Wizard class. They might just throw the mana into it right now. That means next turn their Zombie Ogre is going to be a 4/6. Their creatures will get impressively large, impressively quickly off of that. Yep, that is the play. Wizard class getting activated. Now anytime they draw a card, their creatures are getting bigger. Well, we've got a purple worm, and we've got another one next turn, but they don't know about that one. We again don't have good attacks. They can trade their 2-2 into our 3-2. They can trade their 1-3 into our 4-4 by a double block there. So as much as I'd love to pressure them before the Wizard class just goes off, we do not have attacks available to do that. Our attacks are pretty awful. But now that we have a purple worm out, if this doesn't die, purple worm does actually threaten a pretty big attack here. There's a Displacer Beast from our opponent. They venture into the dungeon a little deeper, get a goblin or a treasure. Goblin is the choice. Now Purple Worm does not attack nearly as excitingly. Now Purple Worm trades for a couple 3/3s and a 1/1. But Bull's Strength out of nowhere could really blow them up. So we're just going to send that in. Bull's Strength might be huge here if they go for the triple block. We'll see how they choose to block this and then see how we want to respond. If they just want to chump block, that's fine. I could Bull Strength to trample over a lot, but I would much rather try to clear out more of their board overall. And I'm going to hold this land in case I hit Druid class. That's really important for Unicorn and Trilasara. I'm not in love with our position because we have nothing like guaranteeing that our board gets any bigger over the course of the game, whereas they do. Both Displacer Beast and Wizard class in conjunction do that. Just like good mana sinks. And good consistent effects. Here we have gigantic Purple Worms. That we definitely have, but we don't know what we're doing later on. And your good old pal, Cridle of Baldur's Gate, attacking with unblockability to mill me one, gain them a life, all that stuff. So hits us for 2 a turn and they gain 1 a turn. They can do that no matter how big my worms are, how big my field in general is. Alright, Purple Worms, I'm just trusting you to get us out of this mess. Just keep edicting them, forcing them into sacrificial blocks here. 4, 5, 6, 7, that's 7 power there, so if I Bull Strength it survives. Alright, I was going to say, I assume they're going to go for more so that they can survive through a Bull Strength if that happens. It's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so they will survive through a Bull Strength. Well, they'll kill Purple Worm even if I Bull Strength more accurately. What can I kill if I Bull Strength? I have 10 power if I Bull Strength, so killing the 3/5 and the 4/4 seems like the best I could do. I could kill everything except the 4/4 alternatively, but I think killing the 3/5 and the 4/4 is better. So we do it like this. Kill a 3/5, kill a 4/4. Smartly played by the opponent. And this next Purple Worm can just get double blocked and killed. And that is going to get rid of basically all of my plans. They get to start sending in the Soul Knives by unblockable because Cridle makes anything they attack with unblockable for 2. Just 1 a turn. So they're drawing extra cards off of Soul Knife Spy. Things are getting incredibly out of hand here. There's an Innkeeper. I think it's a little too late for that now, unfortunately, because we don't have any creatures to follow it up with to gain the life. Yep, now they have a Death Toucher for the 8/7. Things are looking pretty over for us. This is where the Dimir Rogues decks really go off in this format. Just get the game into a board stall and have multiple ways to just send in unblockably with damage, be it Cridle or Thieves' Tools or any of that, with several creatures that have great abilities when they deal combat damage to the opponents. We're dead in 2 more attacks of an unblockable creature. Still have some pretty live draws here, but I'm not sure there's anything good enough to save us. Like, Druid class would be super good, but don't know if it's good enough. We get to scry 1 here. I've got a Death Toucher, so I kind of want to just spread out my power at this point. Probably throw it on the Paladin. Then the Paladin can like lifelink attack pretty big in the future. And maybe make us survive 3 turns instead of just 2 turns. If we attack everybody, we just don't have good attacks again. I mean, we're threatening some kind of bad instant if they play around something here, but if they decipher all the information in the board state in the best possible manner, like what is the worst case scenario on our attacks? The worst case scenario on our attacks is pretty disastrous for us. We lose Purple Worm into a 2/2 Death Toucher. We lose our 4/3 into their 3/2. We lose our 5/5 into a 4/4 and a 1/3, so we only get to kill the 4/4. We're stuck with a 1/1 and a 3/3 against these 3. Yeah, attacks are still terrible for us. Unless we just bank on our opponent misplaying. They even have the ultimate chump blocker. They can return this to their hand after a chump block, and they'll take no damage and not even lose a creature overall. Alright. Soul Knife Spy hits us for 6 this turn. Hits us for like 8 next turn, so we actually do have to get quite a bit more life gain to survive another hit from it. We gain 5 life off Steadfast Paladin, right? We gain 3... Actually, no, we gain 1 more life, so we gain 4. We'd go to 10. We would survive another turn if we attack with Steadfast Paladin next turn, but it will be a chump attack into their 4/4. Alright, they just have removal for it anyway. Alright, that is not going to do it there. So, a bit of a less consistent, slower hand there. Allowed our opponent to get their game plan operating before ours. Get that board state locked down and sending creatures in unblockably, as the blue-black color pair does in the format. Just sad stuff for the green-white life gain. Alright, we're on the play. We have Potion of Healing to draw a card and Oswald Fiddlebender to turn our Potion of Healing into a Hand of Vecna. I said I was going to live the dream, and I'm going to live the dream. It's not even that great of a dream because the Hand of Vecna is going to be out pretty late, all things considered. I guess I could play Oswald now, then play the Potion and sacrifice it next turn. If I want to get the Hand of Vecna out as quickly as possible. That's only if I draw a land off of the Potion, though. Would really like to throw a Hand of Vecna onto the Lifelinker, so do I want to just play Steadfast Paladin this turn and screw around with these cards next turn? A red deck, they might have cheap removal, they might just shoot Fiddlebender. We'll go for Fiddlebender first. And a Dwarfhold Champion. If they throw Boots onto that, then that'll be a 4/3. That is pretty scary, pretty threatening. Okay, so now I know on a future turn I can spend 2 mana to Potion of Healing, 1 mana to sacrifice the Potion of Healing and grab Hand of Vecna. So I want a Steadfast Paladin this turn. The reason being is if I cast Steadfast Paladin here, that means next turn I know that my game plan is to cast Potion of Healing, turn it into Hand of Vecna, equip Hand of Vecna to Steadfast Paladin. Just do that all in one turn, get the big attack off immediately. So I'm going to go for that here. And we might have been able to sneak in 2 damage there, because I don't think they would want to trade with Fiddlebender when they know they can turn that into like a 4-3 next turn. Alright, we're just going to turn the second copy into a 4-3. Alright, they probably would have traded. Now I'm actually real scared. I'm taking 7 here. Taking 4 here. They don't want to offer the trade. Alright. And now we get to do the big thing, though, which is wonderful. Hand of Vecna, come on out, get on the lifelinking creature, slam in for 7 lifelink here. They can crack back for 7. This is actually a little bit of a risky attack, but Hand of Vecna doesn't give us any extra power on blocks. If I don't attack, I just have a 2/2 lifelinker to block with. But I mean, they do get to crack back a lot. I mean, I guess we're at 18 though. It's not a risky attack, never mind. I was accounting for that as if I'd already gained 7 life. Brunor Battlehammer. So now their equipped creatures get even bigger. They can equip for free, which means they get to move the equipment over to Brunor, give immediate haste. That's pretty devastating. If I want to play any creatures here, I should play them post-combat, because I gain 1 more life if I don't play a card from my hand right now. That being said, if I play a Trelasara, I'll get to scry 1. Although I can play Innkeeper and Trelasara because Innkeeper gives me a treasure token, so I think I go for that here. Get the most damage out, then play Innkeeper Trelasara post-combat here. And now we're cool trading Fiddlebender for Dwarfold Champion because we got what we needed. Got our Hand of Vecna. And yeah, this way we still get to scry and get a +1/+1 counter on Trelasara. So Forest. I do want that. We've got Hunter's Mark coming up. We also have a 5 and 6 mana card. Forest is fine. Hulking Bugbear. Hasty. 3/3. Alright, move the boots to the Dwarfold Champion. Send in with those. Take 9 damage or lose Trelasara. 4 mana, we go for a Hunter's Mark next turn. I can Hunter's Mark with Steadfast Paladin and gain a bunch of life that way. If they don't find lethal like right now, we can just lethal them with Hunter's Mark next turn. So we'll go for that. Alright. I'm going to hold control because I want to wait till the Paladin gets buffed. And then I want to Hunter's Mark now that it is buffed. There we go. Alright, and that should be pretty much lethal. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, yeah. And we gain like 11 damage on the fight plus attack there. Or 11 life. Something absurd like that. I don't know where I'm getting 11. I think it should be like 14 or something because it was a 7/7. Either way, that will be 4-1 now heading into round 6. That was our first game where we got to do Hand of Vecna. We actually still have not drawn Hand of Vecna. We had to do our fancy Oswald Fiddlebender thing, but I think it's better that way. That was a way cooler way to use a Hand of Vecna than to just have drawn it naturally. Alright, this hand's pretty solid. We don't have any of our Pride Mates, but we have Innkeeper giving us treasure token for these big late game plays. We have 2 consistent life gain cards. The Innkeeper and the Shepherd both can gain a life every turn, potentially. Shepherd, it's much less easy to do so because with the Shepherd, you have to be able to attack without it dying. You have to be able to not make like a chump attack into their board. Ooh, there's an Oswald Fiddlebender. If we had a 1-mana artifact in our deck, we could sack a treasure token to grab one. Play a 2/2 here, am I slamming in afterward? I think I'd rather just play an Innkeeper first. Start gaining some life here. I'm not going to want to block that either way. And yeah, I was going to say they're pretty likely to play something big enough to block a 2-2 anyway. So we'll just go for as much life gain as we can. I don't even know how good Hand of Vecna is here, but we can go for it. So I think we should. So what do I play this turn then? I play Fiddlebender this turn because I need Fiddlebender to not be summoning sick. I could play Fiddlebender and the Potion of Healing if I sack my treasure, but I don't want to sack my treasure with a white dragon coming up. So just play Fiddlebender, play a land pass. We don't have anything super great to throw the Hand of Vecna onto this time. Like, we're not going to gain our life back if I spend the life to equip it to something. But equipping it onto anything makes a really big attacker. Tasha's Hideous Laughter, and they exiled the Hand of Vecna! What are you doing, opponent? How could you do this to me? How could this happen to me? Well, half my deck is gone. We're down to 19 cards, but I highly doubt the game's going to go that long. So overall, not that bad. I guess they got to get our Hand of Vecna. They got both Trellisaras. They got all 3 of our Johnny's Pridemates too. Both of our Hunter's Mark removal spells. Oh my god. Okay, never mind. That's actually disastrous. I think they milled the best cards in our deck. We do still have a Cleric class in here. That's probably the strongest card that's still in here. But wow, is that actually... Ooh, that was actually a really good hit. Well, I'm not attacking for forever, so... Just play my biggest stuff. Kind of like the Potion of Healing. Because I really want to hit lands here. That makes it a little more likely to hit them sooner. They're already not attacking, so I don't know what adding a 2-3 to the board is going to do. There we go. Now we hit a land, so we even get to play a Druid class this turn as well. Clattering Skeletons. 4-3, when it dies, they venture into the dungeon. Oh, they are going at it. They are coming for it here. I am 100% going to kill Krydle. They've gotten rid of all my cards that actually care about gaining life, so Prosperous Innkeeper doesn't matter anymore. I will absolutely trade it up into Krydle Baldur's Gate so they can't just close the game out with a bunch of unblockability in the future. Alright, we have White Dragon this turn, and then Purple Worm on a later turn when something dies during combat. Hopefully these two in conjunction can close out this game. They've got 2 cards left in hand. Could definitely have a removal spell for one of them, if not both. Choose an instant, put it back. Oh my god. Oh my god, throw Tasha's Hideous Laughter right back into their hand? Well, we know their game plan. Have they exiled any of my Purple Worms? No, thank goodness. Okay. It's possible they exile a Purple Worm now, and if they exile a Purple Worm, that's 7 out of the 20, but it's also possible that they just mill me to death here. Yeah, well, I have said it before. Tasha's Hideous Laughter, if you can only cast it once, I don't think you should draft it or run it, but if you could cast this card twice, it will pretty much mill an entire limited deck. And with Aberrant Mind Sorcerer, they can go for it. I like attacking both here, because by losing Oswald, we get to cast Purple Worm, and casting it a turn sooner seems pretty important, because we're probably going to have at most like 4 cards left in our deck, so we need to just kill our opponent as quickly as possible. Ooh, I really like actually getting to kill a creature here. Although maybe they want the treasure for something? I don't know what they would. They have one other card outside of the Hideous Laughter, so I don't know why they'd want the treasure here. Alright, here is Purple Worm. And it's definitely better than the -1/-1. They have nothing to -1/-1. I just mean I don't think they need the treasure here. Alright. Fingers crossed. Hit our purple worm immediately. And just our big cards. We have 4 cards left in deck, exactly as I expected. They did hit a purple worm. Okay, cool. So purple worm saved us there by being a 7-mana card. Alright, so 4 cards left in deck. That gives us some time to kill them. I don't want to draw any extra cards, though, that's for sure. Attack with both of these. I guess they get to double block and kill the purple worm, but then we get to play 2 shepherds, and they have no more creatures on the board. So those shepherds get to start hitting them. Alright. They venture into the dungeon, but that's just a scry 1 or a gain 1 life. Something like that. White dragon kills them in 3 turns by itself. Probably better to get the shepherds out than to level up the druid class, although maybe... Actually, I think the best lines probably play 1 shepherd and level up the druid class with 1, because then next turn we make a big old 6/6 attacker off of level 3 of the druid class. It gets haste too, so it gets to attack the turn we use the level 3 effect. That's definitely better than 2/2/3s. Instead of 2/2/3s, we get a 2/3 and next turn get a 6/6 that way. They scry 1, scry to the bottom. So we play shepherd, we level up once to get closer to level 3, which makes us a 6/6 to slap them with. Alright, 1 card in hand. Zombie ogre that blocks the 6/6. They take 6. They have to block the 6/6 to survive, so we attack with the Sylvan Shepherd here as well. Because that guarantees 2 more damage in here. They're down to 4, facing 3 creatures, 2 of which are lethal. And a land is the draw. We have 1 card left in the deck, but we make it. Oh, I was absolutely terrified when they returned that Tasha's Hideous Laughter. I thought for sure things were over for us, but we pull it out in the end. Just by having more creatures out. Bigger creatures out. And that leads us into 5 wins, 5-1, whatever happens here. Getting 1,600 gems, 4 packs out of this. A good draft all around. And some spicy games. So here we are in round 7. I don't love this hand, to be honest. Our early game is not great. We don't have much of a curve or anything, but we have both of our colors. Multiple lands in the hand. Rarely will I go for the mulligans when my mana's all good and I can cast some stuff. Because it could be much worse than this. And we did draw a 3-mana creature here, which helps a lot. It's also a creature that attacks in a lot, so Bull's Strength gets a lot better when we might actually be attacking, unlike with just a 1/1 out, where we would not be. So a Druid class from our opponent. Level it up to play 2 lands a turn. There's another land. They're on green-blue. Green-blue is often rampy stuff, trying to get a bunch of mana out as quickly as possible. However, green-blue means our Hunter's Mark is going to cost 1 mana if we try to blow up any blue creatures. That'll be wonderful. There's a Find the Path for even more mana. Well, if they spend a lot of their cards just getting mana, that means overall they'll have not too many cards to actually play, which is nice. Although I assume with the way their deck is looking so far, any cards they do play will be explosive. So we're kind of just hitting for 3 for now. Can't play our Purple Worm for quite a while because they just don't have any creatures to trade with. There we go. Eltrigard Ranger, there's a creature to trade with. And I don't know if any trades are even great here, but they let us cast Purple Worm, so I'll probably just go for them. We could even, let's see, we have 5, we have 6 mana. We couldn't cast Purple Worm and Bull Strength. We could cast Bull Strength and Hunter's Mark. I don't know what world I'd want to do that in. I think I just attack with Shepherd. It trades up into the 4/1, or just kills the wolf, or just gets in damage. So trading up into the 4-1, yeah, that's fine all around. I can't save it unless I Hunter's Mark here. I would just let that happen and make a big old purple worm. That is a fine trade. So they have a boatload of mana. They can make one of their lands a creature off of the Druid class, but they go for a blue dragon instead, a gigantic flyer. So now, hopefully, our plan is that we can Hunter's Mark to kill the blue dragon, and then we can surprise Bull Strength to kill the land. We can do both of these things. So we're probably just going to go for some big explosive instant speed stuff next turn to clear out their big threats. Alright, they gain a life with the land. They're not making a land here. Interesting. I'm at 25. I can also just take that so I can hold Hunter's Mark for any weird business, any funny business they're trying to do with their land. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They have 7 lands. So they make it a 7/7. I guess they could try to funny business kill our purple worm, in which case we can just kill with a Bull Strength anyway. But yeah, we can totally take 5 here. So I'm just going to do that. Alright, get in, purple worm. Do your thing. Oh yeah, this is a sorcery speed effect, so they can't even do that. That's so weird. I don't know what they're going for here. One card in hand now. Okay, they do go for the Druid class now. So they have an 8/8. Purple Worm can block as a 10/10. An 11/11, I guess, with Hunter's Mark as well. If they have a combat trick, they could kill the Purple Worm here. They're 14, they take 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We can't lethal them next turn if I do nothing right now, so I think now I might as well go for the kills here. Try to just scoop up their stuff on board. They do have something instant speed here. Alright, they scoop them up anyway. So I guess it wasn't a big enough pump spell to save the island from the untapped gigantic worm block. Well, that wasn't the most synergistic game ever. That was just our big spells again. Big old worms. But definitely a great showing from Bull Strength there and Hunter's Mark, but we all knew Hunter's Mark is super solid already. Alright, we're on the play, multiple 2-drops to start things off. Maybe eventually get Pack Tactics on the Null Hunter, both colors of mana. Not a hand I think I can mulligan, because it could be much worse, but it could be a little better. We could have cards to play on curve here to really get things rolling, 2-drop into 3-drop and so on. Although our deck is mainly just a million 2-drop creatures, so it's all good. Another blue-black deck. I'm tired of the blue-black decks, if I'm being entirely honest. Yeah, a 2/2 is not going to attack into a 1/3. We'll just play the Death Toucher here. I guess it's not that it's blue-black, it's that it's always Krydle. It's always Krydle being a little jerk. Coming in unblockably, draining me for life, scrying one. A little cheese curdle. Well, now we have a Bull Strength to surprise block, but we're not really going to. Druid class does very little right now because we don't have the extra lands to play. We're very far from the 5-mana ability, so I'd rather just hold up Bull Strength. But the fact that I'm playing an untapped creature here means it's not really going to surprise anybody. So I'm holding up the Bull's Strength just in case they want to attack with Krydle without spending mana into it. Because I think killing Krydle's like way more important than potentially saving 2 mana on a later turn. Alright, and luckily for us they had a removal to kill our 2 mana creature here. So it's actually pretty sweet that we actually get to kill Krydle. Gonna untap our Basilisk to make the block here. Actually, I guess it would be strictly better to do it on the Null Hunter, wouldn't it? Yeah, that was a mistake on my end. We could have got in for 2 more damage if I just untapped the Null Hunter. I was just thinking, even if I untap Null Hunter, it's going to stay tapped in the future. But at least we get 2 damage out of it, because Underdark Basilisk was going to untap anyway. My brain just like defaulted to like Null Hunter is dead. Not completely. Not completely. So it would have been better to untap Null Hunter. We lost out on 2 damage there. That is important to keep in mind if we lose the game when our opponent is at like is at 2 life. Then that would be why. So Dawnbringer Cleric now gets to blow up Charmed Sleep. Is that better than putting a +1/+1 counter on the Unicorn? Probably, because we get to attack with Pack Tactics next turn. Yeah, I do like that. I think... yeah, maybe even attack both here, to be honest. This Unicorn's only likely to be a 4/3 or 5/3. Because we're only going to gain like 2 life by playing 2 more lands right now. Because this Dawnbringer Cleric's not going to gain life. We don't have any lands to gain life currently. I actually kind of just like killing that flyer. Alright. I guess now we don't get the Pack Tactics trigger on Null Hunter, which is a little sad, but if they're going to play a 3/5 here, it wouldn't matter regardless. So I could attack with Dawnbringer Cleric just to get something killed so I can play a Purple Worm. I doubt a 1/3 is going to matter too much. Yep, sacrifice a 1/3 to add 2 mana to our mana pool here is pretty good, in my opinion. So I'm like, they're never going to block the Basilisk because it's only hitting for 1 a turn, and I don't want to lose the Null Hunter when I could just lose the 1/3. Ooh. Oh lord, this is some kind of crazy shenanigans that is weird and stuff. Gets +1/+1 whenever it deals combat damage to a player sacrifices to create a token that's a copy of it. So it's a clone for something that damages me. Okay. I can trigger Pack Tactics, but then I'm attacking with a 3/3 they just kill. So I think I'm still not attacking with the Null Hunter. Let's see what kind of tricks they have to kill my Purple Worm. I kind of want to hold the Basilisk back now, because I don't want them to throw the Talisman onto the Zombie Ogre, and then I have to chump block with a Null Hunter. It seems pretty bad. Alright, nothing for our opponent. I'll level up the Druid class, get us closer to making a creature with power toughness equal to the lands we have. Dragon Turtle to tap down our Underdark Basilisk. Interesting. I guess because they have to pay the ward cost on the Purple Worm, they couldn't really do that. So now they just get in for 3 with Zombie Ogre. Alright, I'm... Well, a white dragon isn't going to add any power to our current attack here. I'm so suspicious of what's happening here, because they're dead on board. They wouldn't have attacked with Zombie Ogre if they didn't have some way to survive here. White Dragon, yeah, it's not going to tap anything down. I think we save White Dragon for next turn. I think we make a hasty 6/6 land here. Attack all, and hopefully they were only planning on dealing with a Purple Worm here, and they don't have a way to deal with a Worm and a 6/6. Sign of Stygia deals with the Worm, but not the 6/6. But I guess it blocks as well, so it blocks the 6/6 and they survive here. Gives them another turn. But yeah, our board is pretty absurd, and they do scoop them up there. So I believe we're at 6-1 now. For a second I thought we just won. We just like 7-winned it. But I don't think... Oh my god, we did! Wow, that was surprising. Definitely that Druid class overperformed. I thought it was going to be solid, but that Druid class, when you hit the late game and make the giant creature off of it, was doing fantastic things. Obviously, Hand of Vecna was always good. We got to do the really fun thing where we got to use Oswald Fiddlebender to sack the Potion of Healing and grab a Hand of Vecna. Got to do that twice even. Actually, no, we got to do it once. The second time we could have done it, but they milled our Hand of Vecna permanently. That was sad. But overall, yeah, this was a really solid green-white life gain deck. We have the great aggressive starts with just a lot of 2-mana creatures to throw a Hand of Vecna onto if we get really lucky, and otherwise just a few of Johnny's Pridemate style creatures with some good life-gaining effects in the early game. And then late game, those purple worms were absolutely phenomenal, especially alongside instant speed removal like Hunter's Mark, even Bull's Strength has the combat trick there. And of course, White Dragon, we already knew this. Big old flying threats in the late game are fantastic as well. I think pretty much the only card in this deck I don't have an opinion on at this point is Devoted Paladin. I think we never cast a Devoted Paladin. But basically everything else saw some gameplay, did some good stuff. Dawnbringer Cleric saved our creature from Charmed Sleep. Steadfast Paladin had huge attacks with Hand of Vecna. Yeah, pretty much everything in here did its job and did some great stuff. So really great draft overall. Super fun time. Let's go ahead and open some packs at the end here, see what I add to my collection, and we'll go through the outro here as I do so. So, as I end this video, as I open up some spicy mythic rare dragons, I would just like to thank you all, as always, very much for watching. All of the support on the Dungeons & Dragons content lately has been phenomenal. My first draft of Adventures in the Forgotten Realms is definitely by far my most viewed, or my quickest viewed video, whatever you want to call it, in terms of how long it's been out. So that has been really cool to see. And thank you all so much for that. And thank you all who've been commenting and hanging out and all that in the comments below. That's been cool too. But as we open the last pack here, I would just like to, again, thank you all very much for watching. And let you know, if you like the content, you want to see more, you want to let the YouTube algorithm know you're enjoying the content, just like, comment, subscribe. These things let it know that you like the content, you want it to send you more. And as always, I'll be back again very soon for some more Magic Arena.